We are live for episode number 100 of Empire State of Baseball. It is Tuesday, September the 3rd, 2024, airing on Instagram, X, and YouTube, and as always, powered by StreamYard. And we are back. A happy Labor Day. Well, belated Labor Day, that is, to everybody. Hope you guys enjoyed a fantastic holiday weekend. But we're back for a milestone, boys. It's episode number 100 of Empire State of Baseball. And for Tom, Joe, Khoury, and I, it felt like yesterday that we started that first episode where it looked like Joe and Khoury, I believe, were in two different studios at the time. Studios, I will say. But we had a whole different formatting. We didn't have a lot of the segments that we have, and we definitely have a lot of new faces in our chat from Twitch all the way over now to YouTube, X, and Instagram. Khoury, Favs, how you doing on this fine Tuesday evening?
Yeah, no, listen, guys, doing good. Labor Day weekend is now behind us. I am still in absolute disbelief. I can't believe the summer's over. I can't believe football starts this week. I actually have a football draft during the show tonight, so we might have a new segment where I ask the chat and
nice, Khoury.
Listen, Khoury, I think we need to start with that. We are in the midst of a fantasy football draft season. Khoury dropped the bomb before the show, number one pick, and he has there's Christian McCaffrey. It's really Christian McCaffrey with his injury going on. Jet fan Breece Hall in the division. Tyreek Hill, CD Lamb. Khoury, where's your head going?
I think right now I still have to roll with CMC, despite the injury risk, and that's always the concern with CMC is he can get hurt at any given time. But when he's healthy, I mean, the guy is just a points machine. Tyreek Hill going to have a good year. He had a good year last year until he got hurt towards the tail end. CD Lamb, you can't go wrong with. I really am upset that I'm not going to get Breece Hall in any league this year. I think Breece Hall is going to have an offensive player of the year type of year. Not saying he will be the offensive player in the AFC East, but he's going to have that type of year for the Jets, I think. But I have to go with CMC until proven otherwise.
Good luck.
I wish you the best. Obviously, Tom, an expert drafter during shows here with our baseball draft, where we usually kick off with the season. But Thomas, how we doing? How was your Labor Day weekend?
It's good. It was, where the summer's gone, we are ready for PSL latte season. Give me cinnamon, my nutmeg. I can't
give it all
enough with the pumpkin spice season. SZN is here. I'm here for it. We get 4 days of NFL football this week with college Saturday between. I'm ready for it. We've got the playoff races coming down in baseball. We're gonna have some October baseball coming soon. This is the month. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like it's tough this year with the Yankees because they're right in it for the division. But you kind of like to be able to take a step away from baseball, take a breather, prepare yourself for the playoffs. I don't know if we're going to get that luxury this year, though, because things are tight for both our teams.
Well, I think it's an exciting time for New York in general. I mean, the Mets and the Yankees are fighting for the playoffs.
So this is already the best episode of Empire State of Baseball because we lost Joe for our 100th episode. Very, very nicely done.
The teams fighting, New York teams. I was going to say, Joe said the New York teams will be fighting for a playoff spot, and Joe's fighting with his Wi-Fi right now for a podcast.
Tale's oldest time.
Well, while Joe tries to figure out the Wi-Fi here, let's see what's going on in our chat. And shout out to Jacob Petruzzi, who's one of the first ones to always show up in our YouTube chat. He says, smack that like and sub button for the fellas on your way in. Really do appreciate that, Jacob. We got Ghost over at the newly named Uptown Sports TV. Shout out to Ghost, of course, a longtime supporter of the channel. We also have Sierra in the building. Shout out to Sierra and throwing the hundreds up there. And I was going to shout out here my guy Chris Dievis over at Yankees Pod. Hundreds in the chat for the 100th episode. Yeah, let's throw the hundreds out there. Why not? It's probably the only time we're going to be able to do this where it actually makes sense. So 100th episodes, hundreds in the chat. Really do appreciate that. Joe's going to be joining us shortly again. Mike Parr's in the building. Shout out to my guy, Mark Parziali. We have Jack Esposito in the house. Staten Island represent. We got L.I. Yankee King. And, of course, we got Hitman. And there's Sierra. Not the pumpkin spice talk. Come on now. Sierra being a hater. We love the pumpkin spice this time of the year. But
we also inject it in my veins.
No, I'm okay.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Okay.
When both Dunkin' and Starbucks had their release dates, and I marked both dates on my calendar. I was there. I was probably the first one online with my flannel wrapped around my waist and a pair of UGG boots on, ready to have some good pumpkin spice latte to kick off fall.
Wait, a pair of UGG boots?
Yeah.
Oh my God, Rich!
I've actually never wore Uggs in my life.
Richard over here.
But I need to be.
I
need to be
a
basic
season, Joe.
Listen, I need to be a basic Rich.
I'm in on the flannel season, but you wear them with Tim's or some actual boots. You don't wear them with Uggs.
Well, but honestly, I've never owned a pair of Uggs. I just thought that was like the signature. Isn't that the signature fall look? The Uggs?
Oh yeah.
For women.
No,
people like to be comfortable.
Dudes wear the Ugg slippers.
Joe's just out because Tom Brady's an Uggs guy, and
I've never worn.
Joe's,
I'm not an Ugg slipper guy.
Tom Brady.
I'm also not a Croc guy.
That is a teenage girl look with the Uggs, in my opinion.
Oh man,
I'll
tell you what, I'm just upset. I went out for dinner tonight, and there was no more Summer Shandy. Summer Shandy's out.
We got Oktoberfest, Khoury.
I know. It's upsetting.
We got the Oktoberfest.
I'm not ready.
Listen,
I know. I love October, but I'm not. I'm still Summer Shandy mind. I'm so close. It's so close.
And you go to some retail stores, they already got their Christmas decorations up, ready to go. So it's crazy how fast this year is flowing. We're in September now.
My wife's bought Halloween decorations as recently as 2 weeks ago. We didn't even get to Labor Day, and she's buying Halloween decoration.
Oh, man.
I gotta ask, and I'm only doing this because we have 100 minutes to kill because we are doing a 100-minute show for 100 episodes of ESP tonight. But I gotta ask, when Halloween's done, October 31st is done. Now you're into November 1st. Are you guys the ones decorating for Christmas already? Are we jumping the gun on Thanksgiving?
It's Thanksgiving.
No, I am a firm believer of respecting the turkey. If it was up to my fiance, we would get started bright and early as soon as Halloween's done. But I like to respect the turkey. We need more turkey decorations and stuff and cornucopias. We need cornucopias and
no
shit.
Christmas decorations till December 1st.
I can easily say that I can easily say that my house has more Christmas trees than the three of yours combined, probably than the whole chats combined, if we're being real honest here. But no, it has to be after Thanksgiving. You got to respect the bird, respect the football. Black Friday, though, it gets holly jolly in this place.
Daggers
we're on the precipice of changing seasons as we're coming off the unofficial end of summer. So Thomas, Roback's got to have some cool stuff lined up for the fall.
Sure do. Listen, fall is summer's Roback season. All seasons are Roback season. I was talking last week, past couple weeks with the new game day collection, a bunch of the premier college programs, your Alabamas, LSUs, Notre Dame, Oklahoma, and more have a bunch of licensed gear. But we are getting into that type of season where you want to grab that Roback hoodie, you want to grab that Roback Q-zip. I know this morning going to work, it was in like the 50s with, I didn't throw a hoodie on, but really absolutely could have. It is that time to check out the more long stuff, some warmer things at Roback, and use promo code TWASPL15, get yourself 15% off your first order. And I keep telling you guys, I'm going to keep hitting this drum. They still have a ton of stuff in the last call. Hey, if you head over to that section, you got stuff that's up to 30% off. You could stack that 15% promo on there. And I'm looking right now. I'm seeing joggers. I'm seeing hoodies. I'm seeing Q-zips. I'm seeing, if you like the little puffy vests, they got some of those going on. So if you're trying to stock up for the fall as stuff's getting a little colder, look at that last call section, stack that 15% off of the 30%. You could really get yourself a steal on some items. Promo code TWASPL15.
Gotta love it. Very good stuff there, Thomas. A lot of holiday talk. So Christmas goes up Black Friday. No Thanksgiving decorations, just general fall and the occasional Halloween. Gotta appreciate all the holidays for what they offer. And yet, Yankee, I love Thanksgiving because stuffing and I'm a fat ass. Very good, LA. So let's go through the Roback rundown. And for tonight's 100th episode. We have 4 great bits for you guys, starting off with the Empire Express, as always, getting to some Mets and Yankees notes. Talk about Jason Dominguez and his non-call-up on September 1st, and Francisco Lindor having a legitimate shot of winning the NL MVP away from Shohei Ohtani. We'll get more into that in just a few minutes. We'll talk with our buddy Khore, who's going to present more baseball trivia for another edition of Khore Kurriculum. That's going to happen at around the 8:30, 40 mark tonight. Then we're going to get to the New York Strike Exchange, Sierra Poteet's favorite segment here, our bi-weekly player rankings, where we rank the Mets and Yankees players against each other. Top 5, bottom 5, Bulls and Bears. And then finally, we're going to wrap things up with a debut segment called Free for Call, which we're going to give you, the viewer, the subscriber, the follower at home, a chance to join the conversation with us, talk baseball. If you have questions, if you want to get something off your chest, if you have some comments about your favorite team, go for it. We're going to have about a 20-minute interval for you guys to come up and shoot the breeze with us here on Empire State of Baseball for Free for Call.
It'll be
Joe,
known as the Roast of Joe at that point.
Well, listen, that's also live tonight, too. New start time, 9:45, ESP Extra Innings, also known as the Roast of Joe. So that'll be fun later on tonight. But we're going to kick things off, as always, with the Empire Express. And kicking things off with the Empire Express is Corey Favs and his thoughts on the New York Metropolitans.
And listen, this week for the New York Mets has been a great week, and we were so close from going from a great week to an absolutely phenomenal week and a half stretch, because they had a game against the Diamondbacks early last week after coming back 5-4 lead. They ended up blowing it in the 8th inning. That was following the game they had the prior Sunday against the Padres, another game it looked like they were going to win. They ended up blowing it. So the Mets really could have been on an absolute tear when they needed it most. But listen, I'm not going to complain right now. I am extremely happy. The Mets have made up a ton of ground since we met last week on all of the teams, especially the Atlanta Braves. So
have they?
Weren't
they 1.5 out last week?
No, 4.
There were 2.
From the third wild card?
From the third wild card, yes.
Oh,
so we were lingering around 2 games out, or 2.5 games out for most of the last several shows. It seems like every week, like 2 games out, 8 games back in the division. At one point, we did fall to 4 back. And then ultimately, the Mets have now gone on a tear where they're winning a ton in a row, and now they're just a half game back. And that's because the Atlanta Braves were red hot. They've luckily lost a few in a row. Mets have a nice little winning streak here. So right now, I'm very happy. And right now, the pitching has been doing a very nice job. I mean, shout out to David Peterson, and he's dealing tonight. Granted, it's only the top of the 5th inning, but through 4 innings, Peterson's only given up 1 hit in 8 Ks. 3 hits in 8 Ks, through 4 innings. So tip of your hat to David Peterson. As long as they're getting this good pitching and timely hitting, I know Lindor, you mentioned it before. We're going to have a big talk about Lindor in a moment, but they're getting the big hits right now when they need it. The starting pitching, for the most part, is getting the job done. Even Quintana, who's been terrible, has been better as of late. Really, the big thing right now is the bullpen. And every time you go to the bullpen, you still have to hold your breath a little bit. But the last couple of nights, Mets have been getting it done in the bullpen. So right now, I'm very happy. If you would have told me on Memorial Day that the Mets would be a half game back just after Labor Day, I would have never believed it, considering where the team was back then. But here we are. I wouldn't have believed it before the season. I thought this Mets team was maybe a 500 team prior to the season. They're 9 games over 500 right now? So you couldn't ask for more right now, in my opinion, as a Mets fan.
Yeah, the term you're looking for is resilient. I mean, the Mets in the last 2 weeks have had 2 what you would term soul-crushing losses to teams ahead of them in the wild card, one to the Padres, one to the Diamondbacks. And at the end of the day, you're looking back on their road trip and saying that was a pretty good West Coast swing, and it was 2 wins away from them being in control of the wild card and being only a game back of Arizona, who's got a tough schedule at the moment. I think they just finished up playing the Dodgers, or I think they're playing the Dodgers again tonight. Those 2 losses with Budo blowing it in the 8th against the Padres, and Edwin Diaz giving up the home run to Jackson Merrill. And then the couple days later, Diaz coming in and blowing the save again to the Diamondbacks and Corbin Carroll. Those 2 losses are enough to end anybody's season. When you're 2-3 back of the wild card and you lose a game like that, that is something that a lot of teams don't recover from. But the fact of the matter is the Mets came off the mat. They took the series from the Diamondbacks. They won a must-win game against the Diamondbacks, and then they turned around and went to Chicago and flat out, we said, they must sweep the White Sox. And what they do? They swept the White Sox. Period. End of story. So the Mets have done their job. They've come home. They beat up on the Red Sox last night. They're up 2-0 tonight. And the fact of the matter is, this team is being driven right now by one player, and that's Francisco Lindor. We're going to talk about the MVP conversation. Lindor has hit a big home run in almost every single one of these games. He had a home run last night in the Red Sox game to give the Mets lead. He had a home run against the Diamondbacks in a 2-0 or 3-0 win. He had a home run again, 2 home runs against the Padres that propelled them to the series win. He has hit every big home run and big hit for this team so far, and he's not doing it in blowout games. He is doing it in games when it counts, when it's 2-0, when it's 2-2, when it's 1-1. He has made the difference in 5 or 6 games now, and that is an unbelievable job by him.
Yeah, and I got to pull up the quote here by Michael Marino that he tweeted out here. Lindor plays defense. Ohtani doesn't. Lindor is the leader in WAR in the NL. Ohtani is not. Don't be fooled. The MVP of the NL this year should absolutely be Francisco Lindor. But Ohtani's home runs will wow the voters, and it's a shame. When you guys look at that quote from Michael Marino and you think about where this race, how close this race could truly be, does Francisco Lindor have a legitimate chance to swipe the NL MVP from Shohei Ohtani? Tom, I'll ask you, and then I'll go around to the Mets fans.
I think he has a chance. I think it's fair to say he has a chance. If the Mets don't make the wild card, then absolutely not. He should not have a chance. Again, I don't think teams that don't make the playoffs, unless they do something historic, the player shouldn't win MVP. I still think it's Ohtani. Look, I understand Lindor does play defense and Ohtani doesn't. But if we're just to go by WAR, then they shouldn't even vote for the MVP. They should just say whoever has the highest WAR just gets the MVP. But that's not how the MVP works. It's never worked like that. It never will work like that. Ohtani might get 50-50 this year, right? Which we never have seen, right? I'm pretty sure that's right. 50-50 hasn't happened. I want to say, because I've seen a lot about that. I think it's going to be Ohtani. I understand the argument for Lindor, and especially if they make the playoffs, I think, he should get, some substantial votes. But if Ohtani goes 50-50 or even anywhere close to it, and the Dodgers are the best team in the NL, I think it's Ohtani if I'm being honest. But Lindor's been great. You can't fault him for that.
Yeah,
just to confirm, yes, it would be MLB's first 50-50 season. Go ahead, Khoury.
It would. No, it would be absolutely phenomenal for Ohtani to get the 50-50. But, I mean, Lindor is certainly in this conversation. I fully agree with Tom's point, too. If the Mets do not make the playoffs, Lindor will not become the MVP. It's going to be Ohtani. Even if the Mets make the playoffs, Ohtani, right now, the betting money has him being the MVP. I actually just checked some of the betting odds just prior to the show. Ohtani was minus 6,000. Lindor was plus 700 as the second place favorite for the NL MVP. And honestly, you know what? It might not be a bad bet. Throw $10 on Lindor and see what happens. Maybe you get lucky $70 or you cash.
He'd have to catch incredible.
Yes.
I know he's hot. He's hot right now. He'd have to go sonic hot in the next 3 weeks.
It would be absolutely fair.
My problem is I don't believe DHs should win MVPs. That's just my firm belief. I don't believe that you should take an at bat 4 times a game and go home and be able to win an MVP, regardless of how good your season is. The fact of the matter is you're not in the field every day. You're not worrying about what defense you're shifted into. You're not worrying about making cutoff throws and playing caroms and being and having that wear and tear on you. Yes, when Ohtani pitches, that you should just rename the award after him. It takes something like Judge hitting 62 home runs to upend that. But the fact of the matter is, in this particular season, Lindor is going to play 162 games. He's going to play Gold Glove defense, and he's going to have he's probably going to be at 35 from a shortstop that plays every day. And you want to talk about the difference that each one has made to their team? The Dodgers are a playoff team anyway with him. The Dodgers were a 100-win team last year. They got Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman. And regardless of the fact that Freddie Freeman had his issue with his son, we're hoping he's okay, and Betts spent some time on the IL, the Dodgers are a playoff team with or without Ohtani. That's a fact. The Mets are not even a 500 baseball team without Francisco Lindor. So if the Mets, and I agree, the Mets need to make the playoffs. But the fact of the matter is, if you take Lindor off the Mets, this team is a fourth-place team on a good day. If you take Ohtani off the Dodgers are a playoff team. The Dodgers are winning a wild card, even without Ohtani. So the fact of the matter is, if you're going by who is the most valuable player to their team, if you take that person off that team is finished, that team is ruined, that team does not even fathom a headline other than who they're going to sign in the offseason. The answer is Francisco Lindor. Ohtani's not the MVP of a team with two other MVPs on it. And that's the argument. That is the most damning argument against Ohtani. The Dodgers were a 100-plus win team without him last year, and Lindor is propelling the Mets to be in the conversation when they didn't expect to be here. So I got to say, a shortstop that is going to play every game, win a Gold Glove, and propel his team by having every big home run down the stretch so far, it's got to be Lindor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go on, Khoury.
I was just going to say, no, I totally agree with that point too, Joe. And it's a shame that the MVP voting, it really should be, I mean, by name, it's the most valuable player. And Lindor, there's no doubt, has been the most valuable player to his team within the National League. Now, Shohei Ohtani is having the best season. He's been the best offensive player in baseball. And this is almost where, like the NFL, if you look at the NFL awards, you do have the MVP, which 95 to 99% of the time ends up being a quarterback. And it's just because the quarterbacks, no doubt, you take away a quarterback from a team, that team is very likely not going to make the playoffs anymore if you're losing a top-tier quarterback. Or if they do, they're not going to go far. But an offensive player tends to not be quarterbacks. That's where you get the top-tier running backs. You'll see McCaffrey get it a ton of times. Wide receivers, maybe a Tyreek Hill.
That whole award is bullshit anyway.
Correct. I don't disagree with that either. But I think that's the distinction here. There's no doubt about it. Ohtani is having the best season in the National League. But Lindor, I agree with Joe's point. You have multiple former MVP and MVP candidates on that Dodger team that were a continuous playoff team for basically the last decade without Ohtani. Meanwhile, the New York Metropolitans, who were a losing team last year, a losing team for most of the last decade outside of a few years, you take away Lindor's season, and this team is on the verge of last place in the National League.
The Ohtani thing drives me nuts because we are changing the rules because of the name. And I get it. The 50-50 season has never been done. I understand that. But we didn't give David Ortiz the MVP in 05 and 06 when he had 54 home runs in 06. Justin Morneau won it with 34 home runs.
I was just going to get to that, Joe. So yeah, Ohtani this year would be the first pure DH to an MVP. He's won the two MVPs in the AL, but he was pitching both those seasons. So he was really, he was the dual player. He would be the first time to do it. And Ortiz, 05, he had a great year. A-Rod just had the same amount of offense essentially, but also played third base at a high level. So that's where that was. And then 06, which Yankee fans will always remember, is the MVP that Jeter, should have, could have won. David Ortiz had 54 homers, 137 RBIs, led the league in walks also. He had a phenomenal year. Morneau winning that MVP is looks terrible, even more looking back at that now. So it'd be interesting if he does. I guess the case for Ohtani is typically your DHs are you think of your Edgar Martinez's. You think of what Giancarlo Stanton is now, just pure sluggers, where Ohtani is also bringing this speed to the game. So that is a different dimension that he's bringing. I don't know. I think Lindor is fantastic. I've been saying Lindor's been fantastic for years now on this show. I think he has a good case. I just don't think, especially now, if Ohtani wasn't having this season, if he was, having a great season, even just eked out 40-40, maybe it's more of a case. It just 50-50 is something that we've never seen. I think that would be what pushes. I think it'll be close. I do think it'll be close if the Mets make the playoffs.
If this was last year, right, and Ohtani's having the 50-50 season playing DH, and you had Acuna who's at 40-70 playing center field, Acuna blows Ohtani out of the water with the MVP voting, right? Because those are two really impressive seasons, and one is playing in the outfield.
I think so. I mean, you're saying you're trading 10 homers for 30 stolen bases, and Acuna playing, he's not a platinum glove like best center field, but he plays a good center field.
Right.
Or right field. I think he moves around out there.
I mean, that's my problem with this conversation is it feels like because of the name, we're moving the goalposts at what constitutes an MVP. And not that, again, he's having an historic season.
But we're not, though, because Lindor is not having the season Acuna had.
Right, but he's playing Gold Glove defense. He's a better defensive player than Acuna is.
He is. I'm not saying he's not, but you're saying Ohtani, this year's Ohtani loses to Acuna last year, but this year's Lindor is not as good as Acuna last year. So you're not changing, you're not moving the goalpost at all there. Ohtani's.
Well, I think I'll tell you what. You know what? The debate that would present itself. I mean, obviously, it's not going to happen. We know the Dodgers are going to be a playoff team at the minute, maybe even the best team in the National League by the end of it. But I think it'd be an interesting conversation if, let's just say, the Mets were where they were at, where they're on the precipice of making the playoffs. They're most likely going to be a playoff team. Let's say the Dodgers aren't a playoff team, but Ohtani's putting up the numbers that he's still putting up. I think the conversation leans towards Lindor's favor there, I would think, because Lindor's team is actually going to the playoffs. But that's also an age-old debate that we've had for years when it comes to the
that's
MVP
also not the case
award
this year. Because the Dodgers,
it happened a couple of years ago in the American League with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and his Toronto Blue Jays that were heading to the playoffs. And you had Shohei Ohtani, whose Angels were out of the playoffs for about 2 months, but Ohtani had the better.
Ohtani's weird. I agree with Joe on that. And I get another thing that we've all said for a while: MVP should not come from non-playoff teams unless something historic happens. And Ohtani does historic things, but like how often? I don't know. But then you say like is if he's pitching again next year, like every year he does that, it might not be as good as what he used to be, but it's still things we've never seen before. And we'll probably never see again. It's very tough.
I want to shout out a few people in the chat before. Sorry, Joe. Go ahead. We have
my thing with the MVP is we can lose with you or we can lose without you. You think the Angels, who won 74 games with Ohtani winning 2 MVPs, both of those, I think they won 74 both of those seasons, if I remember
Trout won all those MVPs with them too.
So, they would have lost as many games as they would have won as many games without Ohtani. Ohtani, at the end of the day, didn't make a difference to them. I've actually argued that he made them worse because they had to carry a sixth man to cater to him that wasn't major league caliber. So every game Ohtani pitched was offset by the fact that they had to do a 6th or 7th guy that shouldn't have been in the major leagues losing the game after him.
To be fair, the Angels probably had a handful of guys that shouldn't be in the major leagues. The Angels stink.
Let's look for some comments here. Shout out to our friend Erica. It's been a while. MVP no longer means what it used to be. Ohtani is to blame for that. Great player, but will literally always get MVP votes year over year. Shout out to Erica, also celebrating a belated birthday. Her birthday was yesterday, so shout out to Erica. Happy belated birthday. But let's shout out some of the rest of the crew trickling in here. CK, who knowingly bought a Ben Rice jersey, got it signed, and Ben Rice is now in AAA. Chris Caleb here. In honor of CeCe Sabathia returning to Yankee Stadium for All-Timers Day, which Met will have their number retired next? For Rich and Tom, which Yankee better be CeCe? I mean, that goes without saying. And that's Tom's response there. For me, for the Yankees, like I said, the retired number thing is a whole other conversation. I think there's like 8 numbers that the Yankees should unretire.
I agree with you there. Old episode we went down that route.
That's an old Savages episode back in the day. But the next Yankee to be retired, honestly, I'm 99. There's not a Yankee who's currently retired right now that I'm retiring their number. 99 is probably.
It should be A-Rod.
Well, that's you.
A-Rod's one of the greatest baseball players who's
Joe,
ever lived.
Khoury, Met side, you want to answer that question?
David Wright.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that's the.
Right. I'm worried that the Mets.
Who would you say after Wright? Because Wright, I feel like is such a windmill slam dunk. Like 99.9% of Met fans would say that. Who would you say could be, or maybe there isn't one?
Next one that I think would have. I don't think there's another one after David.
I agree.
I think the only one that has an argument at this particular moment is DeGrom. That's the only one that you can argue for.
I 100% agree. And I think a part of the problem I'm a little scared of with the Mets too, and I know we gave them criticism in the past that they were too lenient on retiring numbers and it took them a while to retire Piazza. I'm afraid they're going
correct.
They're retroactively retiring too many now, in my opinion. So I want them to chill. I agree with Joe. David Wright's next. Gun to my head, nobody. Maybe DeGrom. You had a case with Beltran for a little bit. That's not going to be the case anymore.
Johan's an interesting candidate.
Yeah.
You know who it really could be? Francisco Lindor.
You know what? Fast forward.
Could be. I mean, we are. Yeah, if he does what he's doing, I think if he continues to be this kind of a player for the next handful of years, then obviously he'll decline a little bit. I think he'd be someone because he would end up being the greatest offensive man of all time. If he's kind of continues this, I know the Mets are a team history full of amazing pitching, a team who historically has never won an MVP. So Lindor would be the first Met to win MVP.
Oh yeah, that would be
he would be probably the top of almost every Met offensive category, which is wild to think for a guy that half Met fans hate.
Sorry guys, CC should not have his number retired. His ERA outside the first 4 seasons was 4.33 with the Yankees. I get it. He won a World Series.
100 minutes.
He is not an all-time great pitcher for the Yankees. He is a very good pitcher. He was a workhorse. Hey, Cole's a better pitcher than him. And you know me, I'm not a big Cole fan. Cole's a better pitcher than him, except for the championship.
And I will have to say real quick, on a completely different note, because I did say I'll give you updates. The first pick is officially in. It was CMC. Breece Hall went number 2 to a Jet fan. Actually, Mr. David in the chat, who commented a little earlier. So Breece Hall did go 2, but I had to go with CMC.
This guy right here. Shout out to David. My personal MVP is Phillip Rivers to Big Porzingis. Oh, snap.
It's the MVP of having children? Is that what he's getting that award for?
Shout out to Sabine and shout out to ESPN NYY's own host of Extra Innings live tonight, 9:45 p.m. Eastern. That is Sierra Petit. Hello, Krusty Crew.
I'll jump back on what Joe was saying. I also agree. I don't think CC's number should be retired, but I think CC's going to end up in that weird spot that Paul O'Neill did where no one wanted to wear 21 because like Paul O'Neill was like this legendary, like psycho and like just meant so much to the team. And like CC, I feel like kind of was that guy. And I don't think anyone's worn 52 cents. And it feels like one of those things that maybe it's going to have to be like a particular guy who wants to like pick up that mantle and get kind of like blessed by CC to wear it. Because if not, I think fans would kind of like, they'd boo him like they did. Was it LaTroy Hawkins, right? He wore 21 and Yankee fans were like, get that off of you, LaTroy. You don't
poor LaTroy Hawkins. I didn't see it coming. Poor guy.
Yeah.
I feel like the Yankees are going to see if CC gets in the Hall of Fame, and that's going to decide it for them.
I think he should get in the Hall of Fame.
Well, I mean, we can have this discussion again. For me, Hall of very good.
Guys, we're going to be going 3 hours tonight. Well, we have 100-minute.
You're the one that has this mandate, this 100-minute mandate. We're just trying to fill you with content.
Shout out to the Bolga Doga Chia, whatever the hell. On Instagram, comments 11, 13, and 52 should be retired. So shout out to however the hell you pronounce that guy's name. But let's go to the Yankee side of the Empire Express, and let's talk about the New York Yankees. And again, it's been a very it's a perplexing team playing a very perplexing season of baseball, to say the least. Because we're still at September 3rd. There is no team in baseball that separated itself from the top of the pack. And yet the Yankees still find themselves in that mix. They eclipsed the 80 win mark yesterday with their win over why am I forgetting who they're playing now?
Texas.
With their win over the Texas Rangers. Thank you, Tom. And so the Orioles beating up on the Chicago White Sox right now. They lead 9-0. The Yankees got underway with Game 2 of the 3-game set against Texas at Globe Life. And for the Yanks, man, Tom, it's been interesting. It seems like the offense is finding life again. The Yankees welcomed Anthony Rizzo back to the fold. Rizzo's actually looked more alert, to say the least, on both sides of the ball in his few games back. And even in their losses over the weekend against St. Louis, the offense showed some fight. They didn't roll over and die, which is something that has been a theme for the Yankees. It seems like if any team has an early 4 or 5 run lead, that game's over. And it looks like the offense is better. It's just now the bullpen's a bit of a mess. And the rotation, you just don't know what kind of start you're going to get out of which pitcher. Nestor had a good stretch for a little bit, and then he goes back and has a clunk of a start on Sunday. Will Warren had his final start of the majors in 2024. More on Will Warren later. But Tom, your thoughts on the Yankees and their play of late?
Yeah, God, there's a lot of thoughts. Is there a team that has had as good of a record as the Yankees that a fan base has hated as much as the 2024 New York Yankees? Because it's been quite a ride. The pitching, I guess we could start there. Rodon pitching tonight, and Nestor's been better. Schmidt and Hill are both going to be back this weekend. Yep. Boone said today that Nestor is going to piggyback off of one of them, so Nestor is going to get skipped, but he'll pitch after one of those guys, I guess, depending on how that start goes. Then he's going to go back in the rotation as they kind of figure out how they want to position themselves for the end of the season. They have that big series against Baltimore, and then the playoffs, obviously. Bullpen, they brought Efros up. Then he got actually crushed over the weekend, so that was a little tough because I think that was a card the Yankees thought they were playing that was going to be very beneficial to them. They still Trevino down in the minors. Brought Nacho back up. I don't know, man. Like this offense, it goes in spurts. It looks anemic and then it looks unstoppable. I think what I kind of came to the realization last week, and I kind of was hinting at the beginning of the episode. I'm just ready to fast forward September. I've seen enough. I've seen enough of this Yankees team. We're gonna get to one big talking point in a minute here, but I've seen enough. Just like let's just get to September.
There's a good Green Day song for that.
Yeah. Wake me up when September ends. Like seriously, I kind of want to just stop watching, and then October, whatever, if they're in the wild card series or if they get the 1 seed and they get the bye, just roll the ball out and let's see who plays. Because I think I just have seen enough. I've seen enough at this point. It's been too many ups and downs. And they're either going to gel and make it happen in the playoffs. There's no great teams this year, and they have just as good a chance as anyone to win the World Series. They also get swept in the wild card round. And you wouldn't be – I think either of those are equally possible in my mind.
100%. It's going to be a wacky playoff. I mean, last year it was wacky considering on both ends you had the final 2 teams to clinch playoff spot, make it all the way to the end. And this year with, again – there's no team separating itself from the pack. And as I mentioned for the last couple of weeks, if there's a team at some point rips off some kind of 7 to 10 game heater, that's going to be the team that's going to be the top dog in MLB going into the playoffs. And that's a momentum shift and a half for a team going into the most important time of the year. But, you mentioned Scott Efros and Ron Marinaccio, who got the call on Sunday, September 1st is call-ups day. The Yankees made several transactions, but the one transaction they didn't make to the clamor of Yankees Twitter is Jason Dominguez not getting the call. And we put this up on the ESP NYY page. There's no reason to keep Jason Dominguez away from the big league club that is in the thick of a division race. It's simply too hard to ignore this production in the minors, and that's the line going into today's games. And across single A, double A, and triple A.
And that's a line. He was bad when he had first came back from the injury. His last 2 weeks, he's been on fire. So these numbers, if I know we're not trying to put more work out there for us, but if you look at his last 2 weeks there, he's been getting hot.
On fire. Yeah. On fire. Yeah, he's been on fire. Go ahead, Joe. I know you had said
something. Yeah, I mean, the Yankees they are a 500 baseball team with the first 2 months being incredibly hot. Since June 1st. I mean,
that's not how records work.
Since June 1st, the Yankees are 500. So it looks like this is the actual Yankee team, not the first 2 months. It's inconsistent hitting, it's inconsistent pitching, it's all around inconsistent. One day they look like world beaters, one day they look like they are as bad as anybody around. It's hard to figure. They have an extremely top-heavy lineup. We know that. They are trying to eke out production any way they can. They're hoping Rizzo can come back and give them some production on the infield. But they are a frustrating ball club to watch. They're a frustrating ball club to sit and follow on a weekly basis, because you never know. They look like they can beat anybody, and then they go and lay an egg against the Cardinals, who are basically half a dead team in the last few weeks. But thank you. But listen, I mean, the Dominguez thing is, I that's a frustrating thing for the Yankee fans. I know Dominguez, that the asterisk on it is Dominguez has been hurt twice this year. He was recovering from injury from last year, plus the what was it, the lat or the oblique? Right. It's tough on a rookie who's not been able to get 2 months straight of at bats and play in the field every day. So I get that. But the Yankees, if you are serious in win now form and you need your best 28 men on that roster, Jason Dominguez is one of those 28 guys,
Yep.
whether they want to bring him up or not. And maybe the move gets made in a week or two once the minor league season winds down and he has no more games or very few games left to play. I don't know why they're protecting Verdugo. Verdugo is not a guy that is going to be here long term, presumably. He's not a guy that grew up in the Yankee system. So the Yankees need to make that move. And the Yankees are trying to sell Soto. They're trying to sell a lot of people. They're trying to sell the fan base that they are serious about winning, that they are 100% in, that they want to win this year at any expense necessary. And you can't do that with Dominguez in the minor leagues. That's just a fact.
No, I completely agree. And I don't know what the loyalty right now to Verdugo is. It's not like this is a lifetime Yankee who, granted, is not having his best year. It's a completely different situation. It's not a former 40 home run hitter that's at the tail end of his career. No, this is an average MLB starting player. And Dominguez is your top prospect for what feels like a very long time now. Dominguez is supposedly an untouchable in any trade. So you're not improving your team at the deadline. You're not improving your team at the offseason by trading Dominguez. He's supposedly untouchable. He's a better hitter than Verdugo. He's a better fielder than Verdugo. He's a better base runner than Verdugo. He's got more excitement around him than Verdugo. He's the future,
Verdugo's a good
not
defender.
Verdugo.
Verdugo's
I'm not saying Verdugo's a bad defender, but I think Dominguez at this stage is probably a better defender. I trust him more. He's a faster player.
I don't think he's a better defender, if I'm being honest.
I don't know. But either way, the loyalty to an average at best player compared to a top prospect, and Cashman refuses to trade this guy to improve your team. This is a team that has to win now. All right. If you don't make the CS this year, you don't win the CS. It's a failure of a season. It's a complete failure on this regime. So they should be playing their best players. I don't see how Dominguez is not one of their best players over a Verdugo in that outfield. You want to excite the fan base and try to give a spark to the team even more so. I think Dominguez over Verdugo would make so much sense. I'm not saying kick Verdugo off the team. He's going to have a spot on that roster. Don't get me wrong. But Dominguez has to find a way into that lineup.
I want to shout out Hector again. Uptown Sports TV, the former Morning Brew Sports, going through a rebrand. So congrats to Hector and the folks over at Uptown Sports TV. Make sure to give them a subscribe and follow. He says, the issue is Brian Cashman forcing Verdugo on us. God forbid Cashman admits a mistake and we bench Verdugo over Dominguez. Verdugo is having his worst season offensively and defensively. Now, my thing with the whole protection of Verdugo, and I'll even throw in DJ LeMahieu, and I know he's not an outfielder. The biggest uproar, obviously, from Yankee fans, including myself, is why are we holding on to these veteran players if you can give a chance to a minor league player, especially one that's highly touted as Jason Dominguez, that could potentially help you? How worse could that production be to what Verdugo and LeMahieu are giving you on the major league level? The answer, unfortunately, is the Yankees are known to protect veteran players so they can attract free agent players. And guys, what is the problem with DFAing Alex Verdugo or DJ LeMahieu now for those two players? They wouldn't be eligible to be on a playoff roster for any team. even if they were to jump to the Baltimore Orioles, they couldn't be eligible to join that team's postseason roster. And I think in a way, and this is me just assuming here, I think in the way the Yankees don't want to do that to either of those two players that are veteran guys and not give them a chance to be on a playoff team. And they would much rather just cut their roster spot right before the playoffs and still keep the control of the player, because you just never know when that turn's going to come up for them. God forbid somebody gets hurt. What if Jason Dominguez gets hurt?
I was going to say, let me play, and I'm not going to say I believe in all this stuff. Let me play devil's advocate for keeping Dominguez down and Verdugo up. One of them is the thing you just said, Rich. Yankee fans, if you go through all these moves you want on Twitter, it's DFA, Verdugo, bring in Dominguez. Dominguez, as Joe mentioned in the start, has been hurt twice this year. So if Dominguez gets hurt, you bring him up and you DFA Verdugo, then you don't have a left fielder. Then you're playing Trent Grisham, or people say to DFA Trent Grisham, who's should be a good defender out there. You're just losing that asset for nothing. Dominguez also, Verdugo has hit pretty well as for the last couple of weeks. He's hitting much better than he was. I think if he wasn't, the Yankees would have been quicker to pull that trigger. I don't know. I think Dominguez will be here. If you listen to comments Boone makes, he'll be up eventually. They said when he's up, very similar to what comment they said about Volpe. When he's up, they want him to play every day. And right now, I don't think that they're willing to give him every day at bats over Verdugo, and that's not something I would do. But that's what their thinking is at this point. I think he'll eventually be here though, and he will make an impact to the team. They brought him up for one game. They hit him fifth. So if you bring up a guy for one game, you think he's good enough to hit fifth against Tarek Skubal, then he's a guy who does benefit your team. You need him on this team. I just think they're waiting it. There's also the rookie eligibility. He's kind of right on that line that he could go over the at-bats, which would not make him eligible to win Rookie of the Year next year, which would get him additional.
95.
He would need 90.
He's at 90. Sorry. My bad. He needs
95
is
the limit
to hit his threshold. He's only got 35 at bats between what he did last year in the 8-game span and the call up earlier last month. So he would need 95 at ABs, which, by the way, if you're doing the math, even if he were to get 4 at bats a game, the Yankees can realistically call him up this weekend, and he shouldn't be able to exceed that threshold.
Yeah, because on Sunday, I did the math. It was like if he got 4 at bats a game and they didn't bench him a game or rest him a game, which they also could do, it was a 3.6 at bats. So, in theory, if you want to really run him out there that much, you need to wait probably like another week. Get through this weekend series.
I was going to predict next Monday, ahead of the Yankees home set. I believe they're playing the Kansas City Royals and the Red Sox at the end of the week. I think we're going to see Dominguez up next Monday.
I think it's about maintaining flexibility. The Yankees, if they bring Dominguez up, you lose a bit of flexibility because you have to get rid of a Verdugo, a DJ, or a Trent Grisham who can help you. And if Dominguez then fails,
right now they can just get rid of this. I feel bad for that poor guy they brought up that like everyone wanted Dominguez to take the spot. What's the guy's name? The pinch runner.
Oh, Duke Ellis.
Duke Ellis is the guy who would go down. Poor Duke Ellis was getting dragged on Sunday. He didn't do anything wrong.
It's not his fault.
But there's other spots still. John Birdie still has to come back. He's someone that is probably going to make an impact on this team. The Yankees have
probably going to take Ellis' spot.
He will, but then Dominguez has to take someone's spot, and then so that's where things get hairy. And I've said I don't think the Yankees are going to DFA DJ because I don't think they're going to just eat that money.
I think they would option Waldo. I think they would unfortunately option Waldo before they would cut Verdugo or DJ.
But that's what I'm saying. If they bring up Dominguez, there's once Birdie comes back, if you bring up Dominguez, you have to DFA one of the 3 of Verdugo, Grisham, and DJ. And once the genie is out of the bottle there, you lose flexibility. So if Dominguez comes up and fails, you have gotten rid of a piece that could step back in from, and now you don't actually have a replacement for Dominguez. Right. That's a lot of pressure to put on a rookie. Just playing devil's advocate, I agree. Dominguez should be up. You should make the decision and figure it out later. However, at the same time, I can see why they're not doing it because Grisham is the only true center fielder on that team, so they don't want to release him. Verdugo is a left fielder. if Dominguez fails and Verdugo's and you cut Verdugo, who's taking left field for the playoffs? And if you DFA
Judge and you have Grisham in center field, exactly. Then
you're starting Grisham every day.
Yeah, which you don't
Right.
want. It's I think the point is, and Rich, I'll give you final say after this. It's more complicated, I think, than most fans would like to admit. And it sucks because Dominguez is one of the 28, he's one of the 26 best people in the organization. He should be on this team, but it really does hurt some other moves if you just bring him up, and then you have to consider everything that comes after that.
We'll get more into Dominguez on Extra Innings later, hosted by Sarah. So that'll be a fun conversation. Shout out to Andrew Del Priori and Front Desk, I believe, is Swift. So shout out to Swift there behind Front Desk. But Joe, let's talk about X, the artist formerly known as Twitter.
Yes, you can join our over 3,200 followers and follow at ESB Podcast on X. You can also follow our subsidiary accounts at ESBNYM and at ESBNYY for our Yankee and Met accounts. We'll live tweet the games from there. You can also follow our individual accounts. You can follow Khoury at GGory, myself at JR Pugs, Rich at Rich J Rivera, and Tom at T Wospil, all on X. We will also host ESB Extra Innings after every episode. That airs tonight, 9:45. We are co-hosted by our good friend Sierra, and you can follow her at Sierra Not Missed. I never actually saw that. That's clever. At Sierra Not Missed as well for our space co-host Sierra.
Real quick, Khoury, let's get an update on this fantasy draft. Then we had the first pick. We took CMC. You should at least have done your re-wrap round. Possibly you might have 5 guys. What are we looking like on the squad right now?
Yeah, so right now we have outside of the quarterback and the 2 flex spots, we actually do have every starting position filled. So in no particular order, just going to read position by position. The 2 receivers are Cooper Kupp and Devonta Smith. At running back is McCaffrey and Pacheco, and tight end Mark Andrews right now.
Lethal running game.
There you go.
That's
speaking of lethal, let's get to some lethal MLB trivia hosted by our good buddy, Mr. Andrew Khoury, who does such a great job. So let's bring up our guy, Khoury. Thank you for hanging out so patiently while all these guys are talking Mets and Yankees baseball.
I thought you forgot about me.
Nah, absolutely. Would never forget about you, Khoury.
I'm also going to win the trivia for the season if you don't come on, Khoury.
I know.
I feast on Khoury trivia.
As Khoury and the fellas know, last year, when we're getting to the nitty-gritty of the standings, like we're talking like Khore Kurriculum is really going to be the determining factor who might take this whole thing, because Khoury likes to throw a lot of multi-point questions out there. And today is we definitely have an example of that today. With a couple of questions from Khoury. So, Bud, you ready to go?
Let's do it.
Hi the chat, everyone, especially you, Joe. Although, actually, Joe, real quick, Joe, read the last comment first, and then hi the chat.
What's the last comment?
Joe is Googling the questions.
Yeah.
Thanks, Adam.
Come on.
So hide the Google
too.
All right,
if I was Googling the questions, I wouldn't be in last in our standings.
Let's get the question number 1. Khoury, go ahead.
So recently, Jose Ramirez reached a career WAR of 50, which makes this season, the 2024 season, just the 3rd season in MLB history where 5 active hitters aged 31 or younger have a 50-plus career WAR. Can you name the 4 other active hitters?
Trout.
Freddie Freeman.
Neither of those are correct. Age 31 or younger.
Lindor
is number 2 on the list.
Oh, so this is currently 31 or younger.
Yes.
Okay.
Soto. No.
Soto was not on the list.
No.
Aaron Judge.
Not on the list.
Wow.
All right, so it's K for Tom. I got to try to keep up your score.
Wow.
The 3 other answers are all in the NL.
Shohei Ohtani.
Ohtani is no. What did you say, Joe?
Manny Machado.
Machado is number 3 on the list, right behind.
He's 31.
Wow.
31 or younger. Yep.
And Shohei's not on this?
Shohei is not.
Okay.
All right, so you have Jose Ramirez.
5 active.
4. So 5
There's
active.
2
Name-
31 or younger is the interesting.
Harper is number 4.
Yep.
We're just missing the top guy.
Top guy.
The top guy. Mookie Betts.
Mookie is number 1.
Let's go. My guy, Mookie Betts, was my number 1 draft pick in our fantasy league years ago. Now I'm almost in dead last, so really worked out for me. But shout out to
did we all get a point there? Is that what happened?
I didn't
think
get
I
one.
got 2.
Oh,
So yeah, Joe got 2, Tom got
Oh.
1, I got 1. So
I was thinking Harper, but for some reason I thought he was like
Khoury.
32. I was
I'm
thinking too
shocked,
much on
man.
that 31.
I'm shocked,
Trying to
Manny
fall
Machado
down the
is
standings
31.
here.
Manny Machado
Not-
feels like he's been in
Ugh.
baseball.
Harper and Machado were the same age, I believe, when they signed.
I'm looking this up. When does he turn 30? You lied. You lied. He's 32 years old. He turned
Damn,
32
Murphy.
July 6th. I want that point redacted. I want to redact it.
He did this about a month ago.
But a baseball
Said
reference.
Mookie Betts in my head.
He's
believe
32 in 59 days. I want Joe's point redacted.
All right. Well,
This is
all
a
right,
coup
Khoury.
that's happening here between you two. And I will
Question
not
number
stand
2.
for it.
What clearly themed an AL Central version of Khore Kurriculum.
So the White Sox, as of September 2nd, have a record of 31 and 108. With among the 31 wins, the team has only won 6 total series this season. Which teams did the White Sox take a series against?
The Royals.
31 and 109.
The Royals is correct,
The Tigers.
not the Tigers,
The Athletics.
not the A's,
The Angels.
not the Angels,
Twins.
not the Twins,
Only
The
got
Seattle
3 guys.
Mariners.
not the Mariners.
I feel like they won against some. Did they win one against the Phillies?
No.
Mm.
They with the Royals, there's 1, 2, 3 teams that are in the thick of the playoff hunt. 2 that are loosely in the playoff hunt. Not really talking about them right now.
Cardinals.
Sick.
Cardinals are 1,
Okay.
The Orioles.
not the Orioles,
Joe, you paid out.
Red Sox.
not the Red Sox,
Padres.
not the Padres.
That's
Dodgers.
okay. Rich, where are we at right now?
So Joe's K'd out. I don't know why
I'm
he's still
K'd.
guessing. Tom's got 2, Corey's
I have
got
2.
2, I got 2.
I think you
have
named
1 point,
every.
Corey has 1 point.
I think you guys named every other AL Central team except for this team that they won the
Guardians.
series. The Guardians.
Bang.
Tom, did you say the Rockies?
I did not.
Rockies?
Not the Rockies.
Oh,
The
Corey.
Washington Nationals.
Nationals are another. We got 2 more.
All right, and I'm the
more.
only. Oh, so it's me and
It's in
Tom
me.
left.
Yeah.
Wow.
2 more.
One NL, 1 AL.
The Rays.
Rays is the last AL team.
let's go.
Tom has a devastating lead right now.
And give me
I really
the
need-
Diamondbacks.
Not the Diamondbacks.
Okay.
All right,
3
Tom's
points.
Paid out. Taking the
Oof.
3 points and running with it. Chicago
Also for
Cubs.
Not the Cubs.
And let's
Damn
for the
it. All
record, Bryce Harper turns 32 in like a month, so he's still good.
Damn.
October
All right. So
16th.
what team? What was the NL team we missed here?
The Braves.
Ooh.
Oh, the Atlanta Braves. They said the Yankees here.
Wow.
Oakland, Yanks, Royals. Yeah, that was an interesting one just because, like, one of the there's 29 possibilities, and yet we K'd out pretty quick on this one. But Tom with 3 big points, so he collects 4 total. Joe adds 2. Corey just adds 1, and
Corey
I'm
adds
adding
1.
2
Joe
as
adds 1.
well. So, yeah. So Thomas is, I think.
Told you, I feast on
Thomas is
core
in the driving
curriculum.
seat
Just
right now. I think
absolutely feast
See,
on core
oh,
curriculum.
Lord.
I blame myself because I thought of Harper, but I didn't say it, and I thought of Betts, and I
That's
didn't
wrong.
say it. I thought both of them were like
This is actually-
32,
So
33.
Tom now has 19.
Well, listen,
Corey just
one of the
now
other
has
guys was 32
15,
also. So
I have 12, and Joe has So Tom is pulling away in the standings, unlike the rest of Major League Baseball right now, especially.
this is
top
what the
tier
elite teams do. The calendar turns in September, and they say, "Let's go." This is what the Yankees aren't doing, and this is what I am doing.
Khore, we appreciate you as always. Quick thoughts on your team, the New York Mets. What do you got?
They just need to keep winning series. It's been the same story for them the whole year. You start the season, go 10 games under 500. It's just you got to start picking games up the game ahead of you, and that's what they have to do the next 25 or so games that are left.
And if the Mets can get 6 more outs, they'll win another series tonight.
There we go. That's all we need.
2-1.
Yeah.
Well, Khore, we appreciate you as always. By the next time we do Khore Curriculum, this could be the one to determine who wins it all. So, as always, Khore Curriculums are the most important one, more important than any of the other ESB games because you have the potential to pick up a lot of points. Khore, thank you so much, man. We will see you in about a month.
Sounds
Thank you,
good.
Khore.
Thank you, Khore. And make sure to give Khore a follow if you haven't already, at Khore_ on X and at _Khore on Instagram. Big Met fan, also just a big baseball fan as he's displayed with his insane trivia questions here. So we're going to move on to our next segment, which is the New York Strike Exchange. But before we do that, we're going to talk about YouTube. And talking about YouTube tonight is going to be our guy, Thomas. Tom, go ahead.
Yeah, so as you all know, there's a lot of different ways to check out our show. You could watch us live on Twitter. You could watch us live on Instagram. But our preferred way to watch us live, and definitely the only way to watch us on replay, is on YouTube. YouTube is our preferred home. It's where we post the most stuff. We have not only our full show live, but we also have all the replays of our shows. We do cut-ups of different segments of our shows, probably a lot of material from tonight's. So you might see some of those as their own segments. Our interviews are there, as well as YouTube shorts. So please head over to, if you're not watching us on YouTube, head over to YouTube. Give us a follow, throw some likes on the video, share with your friends, do all that good stuff. It does really help us out.
And I got a shout out to the folks over on Instagram. We got a lot of chat activity there. But I will say, folks, a lot of the chat doesn't come through to the software that we're using for the chat. So the most optimal way to experience Empire State of Baseball is to come on over to YouTube. So if you're on Instagram, you're on X, tune over to YouTube, find Empire State of Baseball. We'll be at the top of the queue with episode number 100. But let's get to the New York Strike Exchange, Sierra Poteet's favorite segment. And with... not this week. And Joe, you know what? For just that comment, why don't you reveal the Bears for our latest ranking?
We're so sorry, Sierra, but our Bears, you're not gonna like it. Look away. We'll start out with number 5, Alex Verdugo. I mean, we just spoke about it. About the
how is Verdugo on the Bears list?
His job. But he's on the Bears list this week. Edwin Diaz is kind of like an up and down experience. He blew a save that was a huge save for the Mets in the Grand Slam. He gave up the game the walk-off home run against the Padres. But other than that, he's actually shut down a couple of games for us. So it's kind of been up and down, tale of two signs, but 2 big wins that he forfeited that you need. Number 3 is Harrison Bader. I'm sorry, Sierra. Harrison Bader is 2 for 28. It's not me, Sierra. 2 for 28. Tell your boy to start hitting the baseball. It's the first time I've actually been worried about Harrison Bader. We've actually got Nimmo playing center field over Bader lately. Number 2 is Will Warren. Will Warren got called up and proceeded to blow up 2 games for the Yankees in quick order. In his first 2 starts for them, has not looked good, has not looked effective, and has been basically I cannot continue to pitch at the rate he has gone early on when he's come up. And then number 1 is Francisco Alvarez. Listen, we're still worried about Francisco Alvarez. Outside of the walk-off, he has been dreadful at the plate. Luis Torrens has been playing a lot more time lately. They're hoping to snap Alvarez out of it, but he has been dreadful. He's swinging at everything. He is chasing. He just does not look right at the plate. So he is our number 1 Bear of the week, up from our second Bear of the week last week.
Yeah, no, listen, Alvarez too. It's upsetting because I was so high in Alvarez. Most of us were coming into this season, and it's a shame how much he struggled. And it's crazy too because if you look at the Mets back in the first part of the season, pre-Grimace, we'll call it, Alvarez was almost like the team's MVP at that point of time because the Mets weren't terrible at the start of April, and Alvarez was doing pretty good. He seemed to have a lot of big hits, big moments, and then he went down, and it was almost simultaneously as Alvarez went down that the team really fell apart. So I'm shocked that he's been on the Bears list this long now, but he does have to wake up. It's unfortunate.
No, but guys, for real, why is Alex Verdugo on this list? He's not been that. This has been some of his best 2 weeks of the season. Who voted for Verdugo?
Vientos just hit a home run.
Okay, well, that doesn't answer my question. Who put him?
Sorry.
I actually had a couple players who weren't on the list, but Verdugo had 2 votes. So I think Rich and Joe both had a Verdugo vote.
I had Verdugo.
I had Verdugo on my list, but I believe I had him at 5. I think I had Brandon Nimmo still up there. Nimmo has been struggling over the last few weeks still. Yeah, Will Warren has definitely had up there. But yeah, I threw Verdugo up there. But looking at that at a time, I got to think there was
bad. I mean, it's not great, but
a couple more offensive lines that were more deserving to be up there.
There absolutely are more offensive lines. I mean, you could just have you could throw a DJ LeMahieu in there anytime you want. I know he hasn't played quite as many games. You could throw a Starling Marte on there. He hasn't been hitting.
I think it was the lack of power number. I think it's the lack of.
I think it's a lack of you didn't look into this. I think this is. Listen, Verdugo deserves a lot of criticism this season, but this is not the week to put him on the list.
I had a few bullpen guys. I had Jose Budo. Again, I thought he had a worse 2 weeks than Diaz.
That was the piss that Jason Dominguez wasn't called up to replace Alex Verdugo, I think.
Yeah, that was it.
We were in agreement with the top 3. I mean, everybody was in agreement with the top 3.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, definitely Warren had to be in there. And it's unfortunate. Like, I liked Will Warren, obviously, in the minors, but the kid is clearly not ready for the big league level yet. I was actually shocked that, spoiler alert, I was actually kind of shocked that he was even in for that last start against St. Louis. I thought that Colorado Rocky start completely knocked them out of the rotation.
They didn't have anyone else to go. Season. I think that's the problem.
They didn't have anybody else to go. They didn't want to do a bullpen game. You can't do a bullpen game with the state of this Yankees bullpen. So unfortunately, they were stuck with Will Warren for one more, and it was a bad one. So Will's at the 2 spot, but it's most likely the last time you're going to see him on this list because you probably won't see him for the rest of the year. But yeah, let's turn over now to the Bulls, which of course I just spoiled before. So Thomas, go ahead. I mean, I think we all know who number 1's going to be. So just go ahead and just recite number 5 through 2.
We can. I know Joe's gonna, he might.
I gotta have a conversation.
Yeah, he's gonna have a little hissy fit about it. But number 5, we got surging up the AL Rookie of the Year voting, Austin Wells. Probably not going to get it, but he has had a fantastic, really season since May, and he's been still tracking. Other day, hit 2 big homers, essentially won us a game. It was that Friday night, hit the 2 homers to win that game. Playing good defensively, absolutely deserves to be on this list. Next 2, we have a pair of Met starting pitchers, Sean Manaea and David Peterson, both with some very solid numbers. Manaea with a ton of strikeouts, a low batting average against. Peterson, a little bit of a lower ERA. I probably would switch Manaea and Peterson there. To be honest, I don't know if on my list did I or didn't I? But it looks like Manaea has a little bit of better numbers there, but both very good numbers out of those 2 Mets starting pitchers. Number 2, we do have Francisco Lindor, who had a very good 2 weeks, and most weeks would probably been number 1, but this is the Aaron Judge Invitational, and Aaron Judge has been number 1 for at least 2 months straight now. He does have a little lower average, but with how much he walks, his OPS is 200 points. 200 points higher than Lindor's, more homers, more RBIs. Aaron Judge, number 1. And, he's actually he hasn't hit a homer in about a week. So we'll see if he can hold on to that number 1 spot going into next week, but he is still doing just otherworldly things. He is probably at this point going to win unanimous MVP in the AL. It's going to be
On the table.
It's going to be a
It's
coordination.
on the table.
Listen,
we go.
not taking anything away from Aaron Judge.
But you will.
Francisco Lindor should be number one this week. Francisco Lindor in this date range has been more critical to the Mets' success than Aaron Judge has been in that time frame. The 5 home runs that Lindor has hit, every single one has been in close games. 4-3 against Baltimore, he hit a home run in a game they won 4-3. He hit a home run. 2 home runs. They won 7-1 in San Diego. He had a home run in a 3-2 win in Arizona. He had a home run in Chicago when they won 2-0. Lindor is the bull of the week because Lindor has won games. Judge hit 3 of these home runs or 4 of these home runs are in blowouts against Colorado. So and it's not taken away from Judge. It's not saying that Judge's overall metric numbers aren't better. Lindor's also playing the more premium position at shortstop and playing at a Gold Glove level. Again, it's not that Judge doesn't deserve to be a top bull of the week. It's that Lindor has been so critical to the Mets' success this past week that should override the underlying numbers in this case. That Lindor should be the bull of the week.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Lindor's absolutely phenomenal. Him and Judge right now, it's the 1A, 1B. The Judge numbers are absolutely
Joe, do you want to
insane.
have some tissues if you need them? I have them here because you are crying and bitching at
you
your
were
little
taking
baby
a-
at this
you were
point.
taking a
It's
potty break.
embarrassing. No, not yet. That'll happen later, probably.
Yeah, but I just want to say, too, I mean, I got to give those 2 pitchers a shout out. And Minaya, especially, I mean, I already spoke about Pearson. Great game today. He had 11 Ks through 6 innings, 1 run. But Sean Minaya really has become the ace of this Mets staff, in my opinion, because he goes out there now and he's going deep into games. His control is a lot better. He's getting strikeouts. In the first 2 months of the season, Minaya struggled to get into the 5th inning and into the 6th inning. He labored in the 5th inning. He almost never went into the 6th. Minaya now is consistently, it feels like, going into the 7th inning, if not even touching the 8th inning. So Minaya, shout out to you, because talk about a turn of a season from the first 2 months to now. You're our ace.
There you go. I love Austin Wells, seeing him on the list. I'm not sure if this is his first time on the Bull list. I know he's been on the Bear list a couple of times, but to see Austin Wells' production, and the funny part is I didn't even vote for Austin Wells in the top 5. It is nice to see him there. I actually thought Giancarlo Stanton probably should have made the list. But Austin Wells cracks it after taking the starting catcher role, deservingly so, away from Jose Trevino. We were afraid once Trevino came back that was just going to be it was just going to be Splitsville from that point on. But to see Austin Wells come in here and have the most pressure task in protecting the best player in the American League right now, in Aaron Judge, and he's done great. He's done wonders there, and want to continue to see this production for Austin going into the biggest games of the season. Yeah,
I think the funny thing about the whole Austin Wells thing this year is, so the conversation around Dominguez coming up was, they want to protect him because they want to be a rookie next year to be eligible for Rookie of the Year.
That's so ridiculous.
Which Austin Wells, he probably won't win Rookie of the Year, but that extra comp draft pick comes, also you get one if you come in second. So the Yankees might get the draft pick this year because of Austin Wells, who he would have a shot of winning Rookie of the Year if he would have played more earlier in the season, which is just a funny way of looking at this, just like horror house wildness of a 2024 Yankee season. Also, Jose Trevino just got a hit. Andrew Heaney, I think, had struck out 5 straight Yankees. So, there you go.
Former Yankee great and future player to be named later on the show. That is Mr. Andrew Heaney. We're gonna start winding things down till we can get to our biggest segment for tonight. That's, of course, Free for Call. And just before Khoury gets into our Instagram, we did throw the link in the chat, and we're gonna throw it a couple more times. If anybody wants to come up and join the conversation at any point, leave a comment, shit on Joe, whatever you guys want to do, up to you. This would be great to have you guys up here. Met fans, Yankee fans, welcome anybody. And we'll take your call without an argument. Unless you're on my shit list. But there it is. So there's the link right there. So you can throw that in.
Keep it PG-13,
whatever,
boys.
your laptop, your cell phone, your sidekick, whatever the kids have nowadays. And and join us here live on the show. But Khoury, Favs, let's talk about Instagram, which is on the precipice of a milestone of itself.
Yeah, no, we're very close. I mean, right now, I think the last I saw, we're about 5 followers away from 5,000 on Instagram. So thank you again, everyone, for following us there at Empire State of Baseball. You can also follow myself individually at Khoury Favs, Joe at JR Pugs, Rich J Rivera, and Tom at T Wospil. Again, Instagram's very fun, lighthearted, a lot of reels. You get all the graphics from our show eventually make their way to Instagram. We put up different polls there throughout the week as well. So very fun place to go. Go ahead, help us reach that 5K milestone. We're right on the cusp, just a few followers away. So again, at Empire State of Baseball on Instagram.
Thank you very much, Khoury.
Reed Garrett's giving me agita.
Well,
Budo had 2 walks to start the inning, and then they just put Reed Garrett in. But
so the Mets did score another run though at some point. So
they did. Vientos had a solo
and a home run.
Okay, there you go. So we are at the 9:15 p.m. Eastern mark. So it is now time for free for call. So if anybody wants to come up at any point, the link's going to be thrown to the chat multiple times, and you can join us without an argument. And we have our first taker coming in from Yankees Pod. We have Mr. Chris Nieves in the building and in the dark. Chris, what's going on, my friend?
Hey, boys. My phone's on 2%. I just wanted to come up and say, listen, I love the show. Congratulations on the 100th episode. Keep it going. Ever since I started here, you guys do great segments, great points for both Yankees and Mets, and just great conversations overall. So again, big fan. Obviously, Rich and the rest of the guys. I'm here every week, and I'll continue to support. Again, congratulations on the 100th episode, and let's keep it going. Can't wait to be on 1,000th episode. Congratulations, boys.
Thank you very much, Chris.
Thanks
very much
Chris.
appreciate it.
Really appreciate it. Go charge that phone, man.
Also, correction in the chat. Alex Verdugo did not ground to a double play. They challenged it. He's safe at first. Alex Verdugo just proving he shouldn't have been on the Bears list. Beating out a double play ball.
So let's continuing the conversation on the Bulls Bears, because there's so many different layers you can go in as we're waiting on a few more callers to join us here and make sure, hey, we got the StreamYard link so you can join us at any point from here on to the end of the show. But the one thing that we always like to ask is, who do you expect or who would you like to see crack the next Bulls list? So we'll go around the room here. We'll throw out the Bulls list one more time for those at home. But our Bulls list here: Aaron Judge, Lindor, David Peterson, Sean Manaea, Austin Wells. Joe, who on the Mets end do you see cracking this list the next time we do this segment?
I mean, I would like to see Pete Alonso break this list. If Pete Alonso breaks this list, that means Pete Alonso has hit several home runs and has really put the charge into the Mets offense. I think he needs to have this kind of episode. And oh boy, the Mets have the bases loaded with no out.
Oh no.
The Red Sox have the bases loaded with no out. So we are in full Reed Garrett experience right now. If Pete's on this list, that's a good sign for the Mets.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. One guy I said last week, I almost had him there, but he just fell short. Mark Vientos. I mean, the guy just continues to play clutch baseball, it seems, for the Mets, get some big hits. He had a big home run, probably going to be a very big insurance run if they do win. So I'm going to go with Vientos.
So we did have another caller. We'll get back to the rest of our Bull predictions. But joining us now is our guy Hitman. Hitman in the building.
What's good, fellas?
We're we chilling on a comfy looking pillow over there. What's going on?
I'm chilling on an air mattress right now watching the Yankee game.
The DJ LeMahieu followed up that Verdugo just gritty play with a single himself. So the Yankee doghouse is barking. And Glaber probably will make out, but he's been doing better as of late.
Yeah, I just wanted to call, let you guys know y'all doing a fantastic job, man. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. Thank you very much, man.
Man, I got a question for you. What's your prediction? When are we going to see Jason Dominguez up, if we see him up at all in 2024?
Sometime within the last week of the season, I believe. They're gonna let him play the AAA World Series, whatever you call that championship game there, and then call him up after.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's what it's looking like. I think at this point we just want to see the Martian up.
I think that'd be tough though, because I think if you bring him up then, like you need to get him at least a few weeks of MLB at bats if you think he's gonna be in the playoffs. You bring him at that point, that's a tough ask to be like, hey, you've seen 6 major league pitchers all year. Go help us win a World Series. I think that's tough, unless they don't think he's gonna start in the playoffs. So maybe it's possible.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. I don't see him. I don't know. Probably injury. He'll probably come up. I don't know. I don't really see him coming up anytime soon. Probably last week of the season at best.
It looked possible last night. Verdugo was kind of grabbing at his back at one point last night, and I thought that was the sign, but I guess he was fine. So
I hate to sound like a jerk. That'll be a blessing in disguise.
Oh my god!
I mean, it's kind of funny though, and this just seems to be the Yankees' luck over the years. And and Tom and Hitman, I think could understand this where I'm coming from. Anytime the Yankees have a significant injury, it's always to a position of need. It's never to a position of surplus. Your star player goes down, you don't have a star player to replace that. If the Yankees have one shortstop on the team, the shortstop goes down. You have that one starting pitch that you need, the starting pitcher goes down. The Yankees have a surplus of outfielders with no outfield injuries all season long, and Jason Dominguez, the only one to get hurt in the minor league level. We just never get to see him outside of the one game. Hitman, any closing comments before we let you go? And thank you so much for calling. We do appreciate it.
No doubt. Let's just hope the Yankees can keep winning. I don't want to see Baltimore win the division.
Yeah.
yeah.
Tom and I agree with you. I don't know about Khoury and Joe, but
I will say this: at least Mets are doing their job tonight against the Red Sox. Just got a big double play. So I don't know about the Orioles, but we're going to try to get the Red Sox away from you too. So
appreciate that. Joe, just to let you know, Bobby Wallace ain't going to like you defending Lindor. He's really not going to like you.
I know. Listen, you can't knock the guy at the moment. I mean, the guy's been fantastic.
Like I was telling Bobby Wallace not too long ago, I'll be happy if the Yankees traded for Lindor.
Yep.
I would take him in a heartbeat.
I wanted him years ago when the Guardians were tossing him around and the Yankees were essentially dangling, re-signing DJ LeMahieu. I was like, yo, go get Lindor. The Yankees had their second baseman with control and Gleyber Torres. Younger, more pop, less money owed. Lindor's the guy that makes sense to go for. Queens swooped in and got him, and credit to them because Francisco Lindor has been fantastic, and he's really making a case for the NL MVP. Hitman, thank you so much for your time. We'll catch you on those Twitter spaces, my friend.
No doubt. You gentlemen have a good night.
You too.
Take care, pal. My guy, Hitman. Give him a follow at Hitman72x7 if you haven't already. Huge Yankee fan. Smart baseball fan in general. Great guy. So shout out to Hitman. So yeah, we still have a few minutes left here. We'll take this to about 9:30 before we start our final wrap up here, or 9:35 rather. So yeah, again, we're throwing that link out. If you guys want to join us, our free for call link is right up there. So just throw that up to your web browser, whether you're on your phone, preferably if you're on a laptop or computer, but we're taking calls either way. So make sure to join us in the next few minutes. So Tom, back to our question about the Bulls. Which Yankee do you expect to make the Bulls list next time around?
Oh, I thought it was who we want to make. If it's
sure,
I think those are two different questions.
Any way you want, pal.
Yeah. So I was thinking about it. There's a lot of different ways to go, and it's almost a bit of a cheat because he's pitching very well tonight. But I think the Yankees, if Carlos Rodon was on this list in 2 weeks, meaning he's really rounding into what the Yankees need him to be in the playoffs. I almost said Cole because you want him, you need him. If the Yankees are going to go anywhere in the playoffs, they need Cole to be Cole. But you can have probably a little more faith in him to continue to find it. I think if Rodon was on this list and you could say, listen, we're going to roll out Cole and Rodon 1-2 in the playoffs, both are pitching well. I think this team would feel a lot better. I think Yankee fans would just in general have a lot more of a sigh of relief if you could say, hey, we're rolling out 2 of the, 7 or 8 best starters in the league if Rodon is pitching to his actual ability.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, again, you're going to make me answer the question in 2 different ways. So, want Jason Dominguez, because that means Dominguez up and he made an impact, right?
So that was the name I thought of as well.
Yes. Realistic realistic player and one that I need to correct his course of action, Clay Holmes. I want to see Clay Holmes up there. And I know it's rare, guys, and we haven't seen a lot of closers or relief pitchers in general make our bowl list because of there's really not much of a sample size, and plus I think there is a little bit more inherent bias towards
earlier in the season. Holmes had to have made it. In the beginning of the season, he was like incredible.
When he had the 0 dot and he was dominating Adley Rushman and Gunnar Henderson. And now look where he's gotten. He was on the Bulls list. But I would love to see Clay try to crack it because you need Clay Holmes right for that role. At this point of the year, it's September the 3rd. The Yankees are not working anybody else into that 9th inning role, no matter who they call up. They're not working in a closer by committee. So at this point, I'm Team Clay. Let's go. Let's see Clay Holmes lock into the pitcher he's touted to be. The pitcher that we saw at the early part of the season. That's the guy I would love to see make the love to see, but I think he can make the bull list if he can right the wrongs of what he's done.
If I'll throw another one out there, I'll throw Gleyber Torres also. If he's kind of really solidified himself as the leadoff hitter on this team, and if he's getting on base, I know Soto has been actually struggling a little bit as of late. But if he's getting on, guys in front of Soto, guys in front of Judge, guys in front of Wells, I think that just gets this offense. It seems this offense like they are. If you get them rolling downhill, they go fast. They need that ignition, and I think he could hopefully provide that and get on base and let's score some runs.
It is
score some runs tonight. We're still 1-0 against Texas. The
first
Andrew
and second, no out, bottom 8, and Lindor.
Speaking of Lindor, let's see what happens, and to also get on base, got to give
we have a single live reaction here, Corey. If you're a little ahead of me, don't spoil it. Are you?
I'm on the game cast. It is.
I am on the game cast.
RBI.
Right. I got the live. I got the live on the phone here.
We got a 1-run double by Lindor.
What are we doing, guys?
1-run double by Lindor.
I told you not to spoil it. Come on. There we go.
I gotta give the people what they want. I gotta give the
one
people
ear out the other.
He already said it.
I gotta give the people what they want. I also have a fantasy draft update. All right, so
go ahead.
Fantasy
draft update.
More calls on the live reactions.
Yeah, fantasy draft update. What we got right now. There was a big run on quarterbacks, but I did eventually get my quarterback in Dak Prescott. Listen, he was probably the 8th or 9th quarterback off the board, so I will take that in a high-powered offense. I already said Kupp and Devonta Smith as receivers, McCaffrey, Pacheco at running backs, Mark Andrews at tight end. This is a 2-flex league. I got Amari Cooper and Zamir White, and on the bench right now is Cortland Sutton. I took the Nick Chubb gamble. Unfortunately, Jacoby Ford went around earlier than when I took Chubb, but I did pair the Chubb with the Chubba Hubbard. So Chubba Hubbard's going to be a 4-week starter while Stewart's out.
What the hell is that?
Nick Chubb and Chubba Hubbard. I got the.
Okay. Is Corey the Joe of the NFL? It's Chuba Hubbard, not Chubb.
When you got a Chubb and a Chuba, all I know is I got a fantasy name coming. For this team.
If your fantasy name is not full Chubb, then you can just restart the league.
Link's going to stay live for another 8 minutes.
Full
I have a question
morning Chubb.
I have a question for Corey, Tom, and Joe that they definitely
morning Chubb guy,
for.
Corey.
Neither did I. But we are 100 episodes. Quite the milestone. A lot of moments. Any favorite moments from the show come to your mind over the last 100? I have one.
There's the one obvious, and Rich, you probably have it ready to go. But the Oreo bet that I absolutely spanked Joe on. And then Joe showing up looking like, I'm going to say this, assuming Rich might be pulling it up. Maybe he is, maybe he's not. Are you? No? Okay. So Joe wearing the Yankee jersey was just incredible. The Orioles just never let me down. I was so confident. They were great that year. And they're also winning 9-0 right now against the White Sox. So that stinks.
I will one day on the ESPN NYY page post the photo of Joe in the Yankee jersey. It is classic. Joe, how about you? Any favorite ESP moments over the 100th episodes?
Not the Yankee jersey episode. Listen, I mean we've had so many. I gotta go through some of the old episodes. I gotta get like a couple of spots where we, had some good moments and good interactions. Lindor just stole third now. So I think he's one steal away from 30-30. It is 5-2 Mets.
26 steals, so he has 4 more to go.
27. Okay, so he's 3 away after that one. So Vientos looking to let Edwin Diaz sit down at this particular moment. So no, I mean we had a lot. I love the Hall of Fame talk. I love some of our lists that we did. What did we do? The best baseball movie. That was one of the fun drafts that we did. We've had a lot of good moments. Me and Tom had some good exchanges.
Oh boy.
You
had that one time you got really heated where y'all cursed at each other. I'm like, I gotta separate.
I think it was over Severino. That was a big one. So I mean,
look where you are now.
I get the feeling that we're in for a good month and a half of baseball, and we're gonna have even more moments on here. I think we're gonna get to the point where we might actually be watching a game live on here or in the background and reacting to our playoff teams, and God forbid we ever see a Met Yankee Subway Series. I mean,
that would be absolutely epic.
Yeah,
absolutely epic. And if I'm thinking of mine too, I mean, we had so many different ones you can go with. It could be one of the guests that we had on. I mean, we've had some, a couple of really good guests. The Jim Lyric's one especially. I mean, going through that at bat, that was a phenomenal, very fun interview. Even with the social medias too, the moments where I'm considering how far we've grown from year one to where we are now, the riling up of different fan bases. I know all the athletics one. Joe, I know you stirred up the athletics a little bit over there. Rich,
baby. Pete Alonso, baby.
I'm bad.
7-2 Mets.
Well, the only thing that's unfortunate, if I'm going to be devil's advocate,
break your microphone.
I'm
need it for another 100 episodes.
Joe's acting like the Mets just won the World Series. Like they were already going to win this game.
Boy.
Now, the one thing that sucks, I'm going against Pete Alonso, Mark Vientos, and Francisco Lindor in the fantasy playoffs. So not a fun week versus John, who barely made it in. So that's unfortunate. But anyway, a lot of great segments there. Just the general growth, the interaction we've had with everyone. It's been a very fun few years.
I like the time.
Fair moments when Tom told Boogie to kick right.
Every Pirate fan to go jump off of a bridge.
Well, yeah. I challenged 2 fan bases on. I challenged 2 fan bases on consecutive seasons. The Pirates fans with the trade, which was innocent, was our trade deadline bit, and I thought at the time an Oswald Peraza and Ken Waldichuk for Brian Reynolds deal was fair. Clearly, it would not have been fair at all.
Yeah, it was a bad idea then. I think we all told.
And the next year was the Oakland A's. The Oakland A's fans we had to get on, but that was more started from Joe on social media, and then I had to come in and make a statement to go protect my guys.
What was that? That had to be the middle of December or something. They announced that basically there's no hope in Oakland. We're moving to Vegas. And we got into it with some old guys podcast out there about the 5 fans that Oakland has. And we were just like, you guys are just salty that your team's gone. And I feel for all 5 Oakland A's fans. I do. But at the same time, don't come at us because your owner decided to move the team. That was a great one. I'm still blocked by them, by the way.
Oh, God.
We got blocked by a few people. Salicata blocked us within the first week.
Well, we're good. He unblocked us.
Oh, he did unblock us.
He did unblock us. So at least we got him back. I got to say another thing, too, that I love. I love all the drafts that we've done. Especially earlier this year when we did the ballpark food. That was fun. The Jersey bracket, that was a really fun one, too.
That was electric.
We got some. We're not gonna really leak anything yet, but we have some fun draft and some other fun ideas to kind of get us through the off season and kind of going into next season that we're very excited about. That we'll be sharing with you probably all once the season's done and Rich and I are in the Canyon of Heroes just celebrating Juan Soto's World Series MVP. And when he gets to the stage, he has the contract and he signs it like he's at a WWE event. He signs the 15-year, $700 million contract, says, I'm here to stay. oh, it's gonna be a great day for us.
You know what I want to do in the off season, and I gotta see when the release date is.
So
But when backyard sports comes back, when backyard baseball comes back, we host an ESB backyard baseball tournament.
I'm out.
I would love that. And I'm giving my ideas away to everybody.
I know what we're doing.
Let you play
you
online.
gotta leave that in the production meeting. Well, and again, to Tom's ideas, and I won't specify all of it, but a couple of them we're gonna be leaning on a few of you guys in the chat. So again, more to come in the off season. We're closing at 9:35, so the phone line's closed. So shout out to Christy Evans and Hitman who drew up the confidence to join us. We'll try to do that on a monthly basis though, for the free for call and give you guys opportunity to come up and talk ball with us or whatever is on your mind. So we'll begin to wrap. And I will say this, as far as moments go, yeah, Khoury nailed it. A lot of those, the At the Plate interviews were great. Even the Creator Spotlight stuff, just getting into the minds of some of the creators on here, you know, guys like, you know, Hector, for instance, and Anthony Rivera. We actually have a great one coming up next week. Somebody that a few of you guys are very familiar with, and I'll talk about him shortly. But yeah, those have been always great. I gotta say, as far as a funny moment goes, I won't say who. I'm not gonna just throw this out there. But there was one time in the middle of a segment, somebody blew some air. I won't say who, and everybody was dying laughing, and I was trying to hold myself together while I was trying to speak, you know, because somebody doesn't know how to mute their microphone. But it is what it is. That's all I'm gonna say.
I love the first episodes where Rich is pretty much Ron Burgundy and not read in the comments before he's posting.
Oh,
that was my favorite, because Rich would there were some obscene things in the chat and Rich would just plop them up and be like, did you read, Rich?
Oh, I was excited. Well, then again, it's a completely different show from where we were episode 1 to episode 100, where, you know, right now I'm looking at the number here, 80 we have 80 people in the building, and thank you all for joining. But we've been upwards to about 170 a few weeks back. There was one episode that I don't know what happened with the algorithm. We had about 700 people in the house. Don't know what happened. But those episodes where Joe was talking about where I was just throwing up every comment, we only had 5 people joining. So I was just excited to see a comment up there, and I was just throwing it up because I was like, you know what, let's have some fun here. While we're not trying to be all buttoned up, we keep it light, and that's what I love about the show. Outside of the entertaining arguments between Tom and Joe, of course. But let's wrap this thing up. I want to make this announcement real quick. We created a TikTok. Well, I did, and I know TikTok is controversial in its own way. I guess it's news to Tom. But TikTok was opened, and I actually put up a preview of tonight's episode on TikTok earlier. So right now I'm the only person behind the account. We'll try to get the others involved. If anyone wants to take part of the new dance challenge and give away baseball odds, go ahead. That's TikTok, right?
Richard, you're going to do the Austin Wells TikTok. If you do the Austin Wells TikTok, I will download TikTok and watch it.
Okay, challenge accepted. I'll even grow out the mustache for you. I'll do the TikTok.
The full beard. I need you to do the full beard. And you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. He was in the Somerset Patriot parking lot. He had the full beard during the off season. He was doing the dance from the guy who sung that Friday Mufasa song, whatever the hell. I got you. It went viral over the last week. But yes, we are on TikTok now, so make sure to give us a follow at Empire State of Baseball if you're doing that TikTok thing. Also, make sure, as Joe mentioned earlier, we're going to go live on X in a few moments, 9:45 p.m. Eastern time. It is Extra Innings hosted by Sierra. I'll be there. Maybe Joe, maybe Khoury, maybe Tom. We'll find out in just a few short minutes. And the person that I was alluding to before that's going to join us next week is none other than Mr. Jimmy Randazzo of the Jimmy Randazzo Show and Yankees Pod. He'll be joining us for the latest installment of the Creator Spotlight. That is next Monday. We're back on Mondays, September 9th. However, new start time. We're at a new start time starting next week, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're trying not to compete with Monday Night Football. For all you football lovers out there, we're not ESF, at least not yet. But we will be going live at 7 p.m. on Mondays moving forward starting next week. And Jimmy Randazzo over at Yankees Pod will join us here live on the show. But that's going to be it for Empire State of Baseball number 100. Now, typically, we do our thank yous, our final words, our last licks, if you want to call it that. So let's take it around the room. We'll start with Khoury, Joe, Tom, and then I'll wrap. Go ahead, Khoury.
No, I just want to thank everyone who's, whether you follow us from day one or right now for 100. Thank you to everyone for tuning in each and every week.
No, thank you. Thank you guys for the
Chrissy.
listening in. Thank you for the Mets. Mets winning right now, giving us reason to hope going forward.
There you go.
I'd like to give a shout out and a thanks to Mr. Carlos Rodon, also in the beginning of fantasy baseball playoffs, and he's giving me an effort tonight. Need to get that quality start. Need to get him that win.
Yeah. Good luck to you, Tom, and thank you all for joining us here for episode number 100. Thank you for everybody who's made 100 episodes possible, including specifically my three co-hosts. I wouldn't have it any other way but have Khoury, Tom, and Joe to argue baseball takes every Monday. But we will see you here. Oh, it's Tuesday today. But we'll see you here next Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern time, right here on YouTube, X, and Instagram. Take care.